I am the father. I am apparently the father. So I wanted to say, first of all, I've written a speech. I will read it, but first of all, I wanted to say how fucking happy I am to see you all here tonight. And it's been a lovely night so far. And on behalf of me and me missus, welcome. All right. I want to also say to Anne's parents, and please forgive me for not speaking in Vietnamese. I'm still struggling to master English. But dear Thi Ro Nguyen and Hung Van Chung, thank you for raising such a wonderful daughter, and two exceptionally lovely young men, Dien and Fang. Anne is beautiful in every sense, and it is a delight that she is in our lives. It is an honour to be joined with you, and Julian and I are really looking forward to Anne and William's future together with you. I have to thank William as well. He chose Chelsea as his Premier League team with absolutely no pressure from me. I'm not like that. And as we have often reflected, our commitment to Chelsea is a metaphor for life. I also tried to get in contact with one of William's formative figures. So I wrote to Didier Drogba. And he said to tell William this. Football is more than a game. It's a way of life. It's a way of life. The highs and mainly the lows. The raw emotion, the passion of the games, the lack of consistency, the anticipation of the new striker, only to be rewarded with a brief spark of talent that dies under the glare of the Stamford Bridge lights. I said that, not Didier Drogba. Okay. Sorry, that's mainly about Chelsea and not really life. But Chelsea is important to William and to me. I still remember the thrill he put on his first Chelsea top, and one of the great pleasures of my life is watching the games with him. He is the calm one, actually, mostly anyway. But other aspects of life are also important, not quite as important as football, but nearly as important. When my son was born, he was a miracle to his mum and me. And the gratitude for him and to his mum I felt and continue to feel as fathomless. And her courage and her love was and is awe-inspiring. Thank you both for that. Being born and having me. It's supposed to be a short speech, but I've got this speech thing, and I can claim to be disabled. You just have to live with it, okay? And I've opted to base a brief summary of William on what he used to wear when he was a little boy, at least some of the time. His dress sense was very eclectic. There is a photo of him wearing a tutu with a belt attached to which was a sword on one side and a wand on the other. Yeah. and he wore no underpants. That was very Harry Potter, and he loved Harry Potter. And at his box night on the weekend, they did a Harry Potter themed quiz, and William, being Gandalf, sorted all his mates into the various houses. And if you've never seen a drunk and very witty Gandalf, I've got the video. Okay, I'll share it later. But what was more important to me at that event and throughout my life as his father, well, that day in particularly, was the underlying joy of the friendship which radiated throughout that room and throughout that weekend and the 2 weeks leading up to this wedding. With only a little help from alcohol, his friends, for his friends and him, the awkwardness of time and distance evaporated, and that it was like they've never been apart. And here I would like to say how much I appreciate William's friends coming from all over the place, from US, from UK, from Vietnam, from Canberra, from Sydney, from Melbourne, and it's been so lovely. And I think if you can judge a person by the company he keeps, I think then William has had a very high bar. So back to the photo. The sword and the wand, there's strength and magic. William has had an awful lot to deal with in his life, being uprooted and moving countries, being the child to a father who is HIV positive, and all that comes with it. Not least the stigma, which, if not voiced openly, was something he had to contend with, and he did. Never anything other than loving and supportive to me. When I lost my speech after a severe stroke in December a couple of years ago, I thought the loss would be permanent and that everything for me would be changed and difficult. Julian and my family were exceptional, and William and Anne came to the hospital every day and sat with me as I learned to speak again. William was just starting a new job, and Anne was dealing with the stress of a company under intense pressure, but they were still there every day, supporting me and making me laugh. And I think in Anne, William has found a partner who lets him be himself. He's just so happy with her. They have been together for a few years when they came to live with Julian and I during the COVID lockdowns. I can't imagine how difficult it was for Anne. We are close, and this can be intimidating to someone not used to the family dynamics, particularly ours. But Anne embraced us with a quiet strength and the graceful way she has, and I love her dearly. And it was a joy. We shared meals, movies, walks, and crosswords, particularly Anne and I. And it was invariably Anne that solved the puzzles. She is very smart, very smart. You can't help yourself, at least I couldn't, speculating on relationships, particularly when you have been in one as long as I have. Not that this confers any wisdom, but has equipped me with the experience to sort of glimpse what makes a relationship stay at least interesting to the people involved. So for William and Anne, my observations are, it's already been said, but it's worth repeating, I think. They laugh together. They have so much fun to it. We were locked down, in Melbourne for months and months. They had their parents downstairs rowing and bickering and worrying about stuff. And I could hear them upstairs in this tiny room, which Anne worked at as well, just laughing. It was huge joy. That sense of togetherness was really, really special. And they were kind and patient to each other most of the time, and particularly when it counted. And they seemed to have worked out and embraced at least be benignly tolerant of each other's foibles. William's dark moods when he's hungry, I couldn't think of anything for you. Maybe avocado? Why don't you like it? What's wrong? Okay. In a world that seems so distressed, to me, and I think everyone who loves them, their wedding and their commitment to not only each other, it's not only to each other, but also a really strong statement of hope, joy, passion, and friendship. And I'm finishing there, so I'd like you all to raise a glass, please, to William and Anne and family. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. For anyone I haven't met yet, I'm Max. I'm one of Will's childhood friends. We went to school together in Vietnam. We met over 14 years ago, so I've been lucky to know the Stevens family for a very long time. So before we witness Anne and Will start this exciting new chapter of their journey together, I wanted to recount some memories which have really stayed with me over the years, and I hope these will bring you all some of the same joy they evoke in me whenever I think of our boy William, or as his mother prefers, Wimmy. Sorry. It was a day in August 2012 or so that I remember very vividly, when a new gangly white boy walked through the doors of our school canteen. The day before, a mutual friend in Bangkok, he'd told me that a guy named Will was joining my year and that he was a good egg and that I should therefore look after him. So I did what any teenager probably would have done. I went over to say hi, and then I called him out on how much he looked like a tall Justin Bieber with really skinny legs. I can show you photos later, it's true. But whatever I said didn't put Will off, because even as a kid, he was always up for a laugh, and he had the ability to see the best in people. And naturally, and I'm sure all your friends will agree, Will, building a friendship with you is so easy, in a good way. And it's one of the best things anyone could hope for. And I think the fact we've been able to maintain a friendship across 2 continents and 3 oceans over all these years is a true testament to that. And now I'm sure everyone will have very fond memories of moments that sort of, in their eyes, defined who Will is and what his character is like. But I just have a small handful, I think, sort of build a picture of Will Stevens. So first of all, he was flipping burgers at the time, and he was a broke uni student, but Will decided to fly all the way from Melbourne to London so that he could attend my uni graduation. I didn't even have to ask. He just insisted that he wanted to be there. And like Will, I'm an only child, and that means we've always been like brothers growing up. And so having him there made a huge difference to me. I think you've always had a knack for looking out for people in your life, Will. And I'm sure that story is only one of countless instances that sort of draws out that quality in you. And that same summer, we decided to go on a Europe trip together, despite being broke. And one of the countries we went to was Italy. We went to a small island. We went to a couple restaurants during that time, and the waiters kept giving us free foods and free drinks for some reason, to our delight, of course. And I thought it was because I was so handsome, but we quickly realized everyone there seemed to think we were in a couple, just two guys walking around on an Italian island. And in hindsight, I think I can only put that down to how loving and caring this boy is with his friends. And his presence really just creates a jolly mood every time I see him. And on a less serious note, we went away on another holiday to the Philippines a couple of years back, and I'd made some plans to try all their local delicacies, to no avail, ultimately, because Will made a strong case for us to have rice and fried chicken at Jollibee for every single meal. Now, I was thinking, I thought I should try and turn this into something about Will not being able to contain his boundless love for the things that are important in his life, but alas, I think the moral is that you're just a lover of fast food. Now, it'd be remiss of me not to recognize you two, David and Julian. You really deserve the recognition and credit for raising a fine young man. And I think anyone who's met you both will have quickly realized where Will gets his best traits from, and that's not a surprise, because I could tell from a very young age that this family always put love for each other and those around them first, above anything else. So whilst on the one hand, that means you've got a really spoiled child on your hands. Yeah, big time. It also means, you've raised this man who's got so much time, laughter and joy to spread to those around him. So I think on behalf of everyone, I'd like to say thank you, David and Ju, for sharing yourselves with us through Will. I will wrap up shortly, but there's a couple I should mention a few things about as well. Continuing the theme of memories briefly, I was trying to think of all the moments I thought defined you as a couple, but there was one that I think left a specific mark on me. And though it was a brief moment, I think in the grand scheme of things, I think it's very revealing of how special this relationship really is. So a couple of years ago, Anne and Will came to visit us in London. Will and I went to watch a football games for a couple of hours whilst Anne stayed with her friends. So you could all imagine that this was, like an environment that was highly charged, masculine, and probably quite toxic. But I just remember Will turning to me at one point and saying, Max, I really miss Anne. It's crazy how you spend every day and all day with someone, but then you can't wait to be with them again after a couple of minutes apart. And yeah, if that's not love, I don't know what is. And yeah, so it's no wonder that I think fairly early in their relationship, Will told me that he really knew that he wanted to spend the rest of his life building something together with Anne. And at the time, I thought this might have been just like a cliche that people always like to say. But I think, like everyone else, I've had the immense joy of watching your relationship flourish over the years. And it's become really clear to me that this isn't just any standard relationship. I think, every day there are these endless lifetimes and relationships that just brush past each other and disappear like that. And yet, a series of lucky events happened, and yeah, love found a way to weave itself into your lives, to bring you two together. And I think we should all take a second and just think about how lucky we all are to witness that, and to be part of something so special and rare. So, I mean, whilst on a slightly selfish note, it makes me sad and it breaks my heart to be so far away from you, and not to get to see the rest of your journey on a day-to-day. I find solace in knowing that you have each other, you're amazing friends, and you're loving families here to lean on and to share your story with. So Anne and Will, I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that we love you. Thank you for being you. And yeah, cheers to the couple.
So now, if you haven't had the chance to talk yet, my name's Dean, and I'm Anne's younger brother. And boy, does that mean I have a lot to tell you about her. She's impulsive, stubborn, and at times, downright terrifying to deal with. Ain't that right, Will? He doesn't want to sleep on the couch tonight, guys. But she's also the most genuine, caring, and driven person that I know. Growing up, Anne and I were always at odds, the typical sibling rivalry that you always hear about. And yeah, I gotta admit, I was a freaking annoying little brother that you couldn't get to shut up. So thank you for having to deal with that when we were kids. But all my life, I've always looked up to you, Tuyan. You're always so cool, popular, and so smart. And everything I did was to try to chase that high standard that you placed for me. I can say proudly that you've shaped not only me, but Mum, Dad, and Fan into better people. And I know, as one of the siblings, you all want to hear an obligatory, embarrassing story about her. But I'm dead serious when I say I haven't got any. Or maybe I just have terrible memory. You lucked out this time, Tuyan. But as you all can attest, she's always so well composed, no matter the situation. And it's always been like that growing up. To Will, I know we haven't had too many chances to bond, but I'd never seen my sister so relaxed and happy until she was around you. I know you always give it 110%, and I couldn't imagine anyone more perfect for my sister. I can't wait for what the future holds for the both of you as you step into this exciting next chapter of your lives. No matter how bad or good times are, we'll always be there for you, and I know you two will always have each other's back. Can you all raise your glasses for Anne and Will?
For those who don't know me, my name is Shane. As Stu said, I've known Anne since we're both in grade 6. For anyone with quick maths, that's 18 years of memories. Quick maths. I'll start at the beginning of how we met. My first memory of her is when we were both seated next to each other in grade 6. Like many great friendships in history, ours owes thanks to the good old seating plan. Anne's generosity shone from day one. I remember Anne's mum used to pack Anne approximately 6 Tim Tams as a snack for school. Anne would kindly share anywhere up to 3 Tim Tams with me. Obviously, I became fast friends with her. Who would say no to Tim Tams? I could go on for a whole day reminiscing about our childhoods together, from our angsty side fringe era and hair braiding era of high school to our girl gang group called Saint CVP. I could go for even more days about our pivotal growing up moments when we went clubbing together for the first time, when we would +1 each other to every party we were invited to during the first couple of years at uni. We even worked in the same company for a number of years, and she was my HR manager. Is that a conflict of interest? So throughout all of these years, a key quality of Anne that has really stood out to me is a thoughtful and empathetic nature. Anne looks for the best in everyone and tries to understand the perspective of everyone she meets. I think everyone who is here today can attest to a kind and caring nature. Anne has also always been a very creative soul. This lady is skilled with her hands. She's a DIY queen, an upholstering champion, a seamstress, and a very devout knitter. For those who don't know, Anne carefully curated all the brassware and candelabras you have in front of you today, and also very impressively DIY'd the beautiful drapery that you would have all seen. Isn't that just amazing and incredible? Can we get a moment for that, please? Well done. The final memory I share today relates to the origin story, aka canon, aka lore, of Will and Anne. I remember when Anne first told me about Will. She told me there was a guy at work who was really into her, but she was not into this wannabe British guy. Basically, as you would have heard, Will liked Anne didn't like Will. I remember one of the first times I met Will. We were at some shitty club with a group of their Uniqlo mates. And we were all on the dance floor, dancing in a circle. Will very smoothly cut his way through the throng of people to dance next to Anne and hopefully shoot his shot. Unfortunately for Will, Anne asked me to swap places with her. And poor Will was stuck dancing next to me instead. Sorry. Based on the classic trope of unreciprocated love leading to a great love story seen only in romance movies, I should have known then that I was witnessing the start of a beautiful relationship. Will, I'm so glad you persisted with shooting your shot with Anne. It makes me so happy to see how you both support each other, how you bring out the best in each other, and how you both balance each other out perfectly. Your love is very much palpable. Anne, my oldest friend, I'm so grateful you are in my life. You look beautiful tonight, and I'm so honoured to be by your side on such an important day. I love seeing the happiness you share with Will. So let's finish with a toast to the beautiful Anne and Will.
It's been incredible to see how much effort has gone into this wedding, especially when you consider how opposed Will is doing anything past 8 p.m. on a weeknight. I'd also like to thank everyone for being here and taking the time to celebrate and congratulate the lovely couple. You know, people always say and talk about this moment that you have when you meet the one. There's this moment you have when your heart races and your hands get a little bit sweaty and you think to yourself, yeah, this is it. This is my soulmate. And I remember when Will had that moment. It was when he met me. Me and Will first crossed paths in our first week at uni. It was my second day at Howard Hall, and I was doing what every new student does, trying to roam around, look cool, and make friends. And then as I'm heading up the stairs, the lift doors open, and then out pops this tall Justin Bieber lookalike that sticks his hand up to me and says, "Hey man, it's Will. We met last night. You want to come out with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, of course." And a few hours later and a lot of drinks later, me and Will are stumbling back home to uni. And Will, in full sentimental drunk mode, throws his hand up around me, looks at me and says, "Man, I think we're going to be best mates." And here we are, 10 years later, I'm giving a speech at your wedding. And I remember when I first heard about Anne. Will and I were living together in Oakley, and he couldn't stop talking about her. You know, he kept on saying things like, "Do you think she noticed me last night at the club? I found her Instagram. Do you think I should follow her? Oh, she followed me back. Should I DM her?" Honestly, it was so annoying. But deep down, I knew what was happening. I could tell that this wasn't just some crush for Will. Crush for Anne, sorry. I was going to lose my boy to this girl. And it really hit me after a late night shift at work, and I walked in and saw Will in the kitchen, cooking actual food, not just a kilogram of Coles pasta. But he'd gone out and gotten real ingredients, pots, pans, effort. And, you know, it must have taken him like 2 or 3 hours. I was so confused. I've never seen Will work this hard in the kitchen. He was nervous. His palms were sweating like crazy. And then I heard a knock on the door. And in walked Anne for the first time. And then suddenly it all made sense, it clicked. Will was whipped. And once I got over my jealousy of Anne and the jealousy of losing my best friend and actually got to know Anne, it all made sense. It made sense why Will was so crazy about her. She was everything that Will needed. Smart, funny, driven, warm, and somehow patient enough to deal with him and his IBS. They balanced each other out. They balanced each other out perfectly. I'm sorry, Will, it had to be done. But in all seriousness, seeing Will and Anne together over the past 7 years, it's one of the easiest things to believe in. The way they support each other, make each other laugh, you just know that their relationship's the real deal. So, Will, Anne, as you start your next big adventure and the long road ahead, I just want to say, people say marriage is like a long trip. And as you guys start this long, winding journey and road trip ahead, I just want to say one piece of advice. Will, judging by your past driving record, Anne, I think you should drive.
Cảm ơn mọi người tới thăm dự đám của con. Chúc mấy bác một ăn đám cưới của con vui vẻ và ăn ngon miệng.
Thank you to all those who have helped us put this wedding together. To all our lovely vendors, to our Aunt Mariette over there. She was our amazing teacher who taught 2 people of vastly disproportionate height and a total of 4 left feet to dance the wonderful routine you saw today. Thank you to my parents-in-law who have made me feel like family from the moment we met. To Ju for emceeing today and for making our wedding tiramisu. Please try it even if you don't like tiramisu like my husband. He said to us that no one likes tiramisu. So, I wouldn't mind another reason to be right in our relationship. To my friends, in particular my bridesmaids who have been there for me throughout the years, my parents who have sacrificed so much for me to be here today, and for that I'm eternally grateful. I realised as I was writing this speech that I probably sound like I'm making an acceptance speech for an award. However, I promise this is my final thank you. Thank you to my husband. As you all know by now, Will and I met while working at Uniqlo. From outside, he was this tall white boy who was always hungover with the other white tall boy, Nick, who appeared, quite frankly, to not give a shit because he was always so hungover. However, once you get to know Will, you come to realise how much of a sweet person he is and how fiercely loyal he is to those he cares about. Will has also taught me a lot about myself, about dry humour, which I didn't understand very well at the beginning of our relationship. Sorry to those who had to tragically witness Will explaining all his jokes to me. But most of all, how obsessive British people are over football. All that aside, he has been my rock, which really is an understatement. He has actually been my boulder in life. I can share anything with you and I'm never made to feel judged. I'm throwing myself under the bus a little bit here, but when I get upset at the silliest things because he was
distracted on his phone while I was trying to talk to him. Not every single time, by the way. Thought I would add that in. He has a way of laughing and hugging me that makes it all disappear. I know to the audience this probably sounds like quite a small and random example, but it's this approach that makes me feel like everything's going to be okay. And I knew I would be able to get through my nerves today because of him being by my side. It has been an honour to be by your side for the past 7 years, and it will be an honour and a privilege to be your wife for the rest of my life.
Fucking hell, that's hard to follow. Well, this is the last speech, so everybody can start drinking big time after this. Yeah. Thank you all so much for coming. It means the world to celebrate this special day with so many loved ones. I want to echo Anne's thank yous to everyone who helped put this day together. And I want to thank my friends, especially my groomsmen, Nis, Max, Nick, and Robin. You're my special boys. And I love you.
Love you too.
It's not back and forth. I want to shout out the international travellers, the two Maxes who came from London, Francis from Vietnam, and Kofi, who flew from America on the day of the Bucks. Where are you? Day of the Bucks. And he's flying back tomorrow morning. I want to thank my family for coming, all my aunts, uncles, cousins, and especially Nana. Literally wouldn't be possible without you. I also want to echo Anne's thank you for Mariette for helping us with that dance. You were so patient, and it showed how confident we were, and I'm going to make you cry. Why not? Thank you so much. I love you. I want to thank my mum and dad. Mum for emceeing, you've been incredible. Everybody's just been telling me your mum's so good at emceeing. I'm like, I know. As Dad mentioned, Mum's such a brave, incredible woman. I wouldn't be here without your courage. Literally, I wouldn't be here. And I love you very much. Dad, if I'm even 10% of the man that you are, I consider myself insanely lucky. You're my role model, and I love you so much. Getting to see you both get to know Anne has been an absolute joy. You're both inspirations to me. To my new Vietnamese family, please forgive my pronunciation. Kính thưa gia đình mỗi cô con. Cảm ơn cha mẹ và hai em trai đã niềm nô vào chỗ đón con vào di đàn. Yeah, I'll get better. Now my wife. As it's been mentioned a lot, we didn't get off to the best start. I feel like I don't need to keep repeating it, but I've already written it down, so. I found out that she really didn't like me, as it's been said. But it just shows you should never give up on your dreams. We were working at Uniqlo, as it's been fucking said a few times. I remember Anne being quite intimidating. And then one day she walked past me and said hi, quite warmly, and I became smitten. I was lost for words, I had butterflies in my stomach, and a few weeks later I saw her at a festival, and she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life. Until tonight. You look so beautiful. I told one of our mutual friends I was going to ask her out. They looked at me and went like this. And said, that's not a good idea, she's going to say no. But I did it anyway, and she said no. But I wasn't deterred, and I thought if I ever saw her again, I might have a chance. I did see her again, and asked her if she wanted to buy me a drink. Yeah, crazy strategy. And then I went and paid and told her she owed me a kiss instead. And for some reason, she started dating me after that. I've absolutely loved every minute of getting to know you and be with you. You're the most kind, loyal, loving, and beautiful girl I've ever met. I can't believe my luck that I get to spend the rest of my life being silly with you. You make everything better. You've taught me how to be more patient and kind. I didn't really think it was possible to continue to fall deeper in love with someone, but I often think there's no way I can love you anymore, and then you go and do something that, like, console me when Chelsea lose and say, it's going to be okay, like you did this weekend. People ask me if I was nervous to get married. I'd never been more ready or more excited to do anything in my life. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. I love you so much. So if you could all raise a glass to my beautiful wife.